What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin. First things first, I just want to say it is perfectly normal for you guys to still be feeling angry, sad, disappointed in this front office, in this management. Whatever you're upset about with this Xander situation, it's perfectly okay, normal to do that. But who it's not perfectly normal or justified for doing that is this Red Sox front office. They messed up. They did not get this deal done. And obviously, it is going to be extremely hard, if not impossible, to replace Xander Bogaerts on this Red Sox team, both on the field and off the field. But the worst thing the Red Sox can do right now is to sit around, lick their wounds, and feel sorry for themselves as opposed to trying to rectify what happened. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to try and talk about who or how the Red Sox are going to fill this hole, that massive hole that is now on this Red Sox team. We're going to talk about some possible solutions, both in the shortstop category and outside the shortstop category. And we're going to talk about whether or not it would make sense. But before we get into that, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. It helps out a ton and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. So there are really a couple of ways that the Red Sox could go here in terms of trying to replace Xander's production on this Red Sox team. And the first is to look at the free agent market. Now, it's going to be fairly difficult with the free agents that are still left on the board to truly fill the production that Xander Bogaerts had on this team without spending a ton of money. And the obvious answer to the question of how do we replace Xander Bogaerts is to go get Carlos Correa. Now, I've been avoiding talking about Carlos Correa to the Red Sox, one, because it would have meant Xander Bogaerts was gone. That obviously happened, so now it's time to pivot a little bit. And two, because doesn't it just sound like a Red Sox move? Going out, lowballing your homegrown talent, letting him go, and then realizing your mistake and trying to make up for it by spending a ton of money on a guy who's never played for this Red Sox team. We've seen it before. We'll probably see it again. It just seems like something the Red Sox would do. It made too much sense, and I did not like that. Yeah, Carlos Correa makes a lot of sense for this Red Sox team. He would solve a lot of problems. Offensively, he had a 291 average last year with an 834 OPS, a 140 OPS plus with 22 home runs, 64 RBIs. So you are getting that similar offensive production that you had with Xander Bogaerts, and he's great defensively. He won a platinum glove. He had a little bit of a down year defensively for the Twins, but he should be able to bounce back and still be a really good defender, which would help a lot with the shift changes coming this year. And production wise, it makes a ton of sense for the Red Sox to at least be interested in Carlos Correa. But I do have a couple of problems with Correa. One, if you are going to shell out big money for a free agent, why wouldn't you just spend that money on Xander Bogaerts, right? Why would you not try and get Xander back and really go for another player? Yes, Correa is 2 years younger, but at the same time too, if you want a player who is a great shortstop, a leader of this team, Xander was the perfect guy for that. And it would just rub me the wrong way seeing them go out and get a guy for a ton of money that is not Xander Bogaerts. But two, because I don't know how well he'd mesh with this Red Sox team. Obviously, there is a connection with him and Cora, both being from Puerto Rico, both playing on the same team with the Houston Astros, and they are tight. They are boys, and it would make sense in a Cora type thing, but he has had beef with this Red Sox team on the Astros before, and I don't know how welcomed into the clubhouse he would be. And yes, that is important. I understand these guys are professionals and they have to do their job, but if you're with a guy for 162 years, it's hard to rally around him if he has A, beef with the Red Sox team, and two, he's coming in as the guy who the Red Sox decided to pay instead of Xander. So that's definitely going to cause a little bit of rift in this Red Sox system. Now, do I think that they will go out and try and get Carlos Correa? I don't think so. Logically, it doesn't make a ton of sense, but we've seen the Red Sox make illogical moves before, so I can't say 100% that they won't try and bring Correa to this Red Sox team. Now, the second option free agent wise is to go after Dansby Swanson. Now, Dansby Swanson's a little bit of an interesting case. He's a great defender, and he did have his best year in 2022, where he had a 277 average with a 776 OPS and a 115 OPS plus, hitting 25 home runs and 96 RBIs. Again, a guy who was great offensive production wise. Again, another guy who can play defense well enough where the shift won't matter as much. So it's a guy that would replace, hopefully, Xander Bogaerts' production on the field as well as at the plate. But there are question marks in Dansby Swanson's game. game. He hasn't had great offensive seasons before like this one. This is really his breakout year. In fact, his total OPS plus throughout his career is 95, meaning he was about 5% less productive than the average player in baseball offensively throughout his career. His offensive statistics scream that he's going to be an average offensive player. And two, again, if you're going to throw money at a shortstop, why wasn't it Xander Bogaerts? Now, Dansby Swanson, in my opinion, would actually be a great pickup for a short-term deal, right? If you want to bridge the gap between no Xander Bogaerts and Marcelo Meyer, this is the guy to do that. He will give you average offensive numbers, hopefully a little bit above average, and he'll be good defensively. But we've seen the two of the top shortstops sign for really long-term deals. You have to imagine the other two big shortstops are looking for something around that as well. So in my opinion, I just don't know if Dansby Swanson makes a ton of sense long-term. So Dansby Swanson's a great option if you're looking for a short-term solution, but I don't know. If we're going long-term big money for a shortstop, in my opinion, it should be Carlos Correa. Now, there are other options free agent-wise. If you want to go shortstop route, you can go with a guy like Jean Segura, or you can have a reunion with Jose Iglesias. These are guys who probably aren't going to get super long-term deals and would be the perfect stopgap for a shortstop until a guy like Marcelo Meyer is ready. Maybe Mikey Romero has a big upswing in the minor leagues and he's ready before Marcelo. We don't know, and maybe that's what the Red Sox are hoping for. I could see them taking this angle as well, going after a low-end shortstop just to bridge the gap. They could also start allocating their money towards other free agents, right? They could go for a Carlos Rodon, a Senga. They could try and get back a Valdi. They could allocate that money outside of a shortstop to try and improve their team in other ways. Now, obviously, the biggest hole in this Red Sox team right now is leadership, and it is power. You lost JD. You're probably not bringing him back. You lost Xander, who did have a down year power-wise, but had a ton of doubles and was able to bring runs in. So you are missing that in the heart of your order. In my opinion, if you go after a guy like Rodon, even if your pitching is secure, you're still going to have problems offensively. The solution to this problem should really be offensively as opposed to on the pitching side. Those are really the free agent options for this Red Sox team. It really is truly, if you want to replace Xander with a big time player, it's going to be either Carlos Correa or Dansby Swanson. There really aren't a ton of other outfield options that you can come in and make a big splash with. So those are really the two guys left. There are other ways that the Red Sox can supplement the loss of Xander Bogaerts. So let's talk about it. The other way to do it is to trade for someone who can fill that Xander void. There is one guy that keeps coming to the top of my mind when you're talking about shortstops and you're talking about a solution to a problem on this Red Sox team. And it's a guy that has been mentioned before in the Twitter space, and nothing has been like officially rumored or anything, but this is a guy that I would love to see the Red Sox go after, and that's Willy Adames of the Milwaukee Brewers. In 2022, Willy Adames had a little bit of a low average with a 238 average. He had a 156 OPS with a 112 OPS plus, but his best stats, in my opinion, came in the power department. He had a home run total of 31 with 98 RBIs, and he also had 31 doubles. Yes, that average is much lower than what we were used to expecting from our cornerstone franchise shortstop, but if it's a guy who's going to give you 30 plus home runs with close to 100 RBIs and 30 plus doubles, that's a lot of offensive production in the middle of that order. It's a guy who plays pretty decent defense, and the Milwaukee Brewers, in my opinion, and from what rumors we have seen so far this offseason, are rumored to be sellers this offseason. So it wouldn't cost a huge amount to get Willy Adames on this team. It wouldn't be super cheap. We're not talking about a mega deal here. We're talking about a solid deal to get Willy Adames here, and he'd be able to solve not only the defensive problem at shortstop, but he would be able to solve the power problem as well in this Red Sox lineup. Willy Adames is also under contract for a couple more years before he hits free agency, so he'd be a cheaper sort of long-term solution, and a guy that personally, if you're going to trade for anybody, this is the guy I would go after. The last solution here is that the Red Sox solve this problem from within. They move Trevor Story to shortstop, or maybe Christian Arroyo becomes our full-time shortstop. You also have Kike Hernandez, who can play either of the two positions, and Cedane Rafaela is very close to being major league ready, so that's a guy as well that I could look at and see being on this Red Sox team in the starting lineup soon. Maybe you do something crazy and you let Marcelo Meyer up with a huge leash. You tell him, hey, look, we'll give you 2 months in the minor leagues in AA, and then we're calling your ass up and you're going to be here for the next 5-6 years. We're going to let you develop at the major league level. There's also that wild card in there as well. At the end of the day, like I said at the beginning, it is nearly impossible to replace what Xander Bogaerts meant on the field, off the field, and to this fan base. But we can be mad, we can be upset. The front office simply does not have the ability to do that right now. They're the ones who screwed up. They need to fix this solution. If you ask me, I think the most likely solution is that the Red Sox are going to fill this gap from within. Trevor Story's going to slide over to shortstop, and the Red Sox are going to figure something out for second base. Small part of me thinks that the Red Sox could make a splash for Carlos Correa because of historic responses to losing homegrown talent, and I personally would love to get Willy Adames on this team. But I want you guys to let me know in the comment section down below, how would you solve this problem right now? What would you do to supplement the loss of our cornerstone shortstop? Let me know all your thoughts on that down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. It helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seat.